Hey, we're going to talk to you about Bryan Kohberger. We haven't covered this case in a while. The University of Idaho, the King Road quadruple murders that happened on November 13th of 2022. They are looking at June of 2025 in Ada County. Ada County is where Shallow, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell were tried.
Murder in the first degree, maximum penalties, life in prison, or the death penalty.
Bryan Kohberger could get the death penalty if he's convicted.
Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes.
In Idaho could mean execution by firing squad if Kohberger is found guilty and sentenced to death. In recent years, pharmaceutical companies have filed lawsuits to prevent their drugs from being used in lethal injections. It's making it more difficult for states to carry out executions by lethal injection.
Pentobarbital does not have a long shelf life, so it's not as if we can stock up and hold on to it for years.
Bryan Kohberger's defense trying to get the death penalty off the table, even before his trial begins, set for summer of next year. His defense is arguing death by lethal injection or firing squad would be cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution.
I don't believe his execution is moving forward as is scheduled. And if we look at the immediate history in Idaho, and that's what I'm looking at when I'm standing before you representing Mr. Kohberger and saying to you that Idaho doesn't have a real means of executing someone. The firing squad ended up on the books because of the difficulty obtaining the drugs to kill somebody. That's why the firing squad came back. The history of the firing squad, which is really well written by Mr. Logston in our briefing, is that it sat on Idaho's books for years. And in 2009, it came off in light of the Bayes decision. And that's the real problem here. The firing squad hasn't been funded well enough to be built.
I think they're building it right now, as I recall, from the media at least, that the construction's actually underway. But I may be wrong about that.
Understanding what a person is conscious and aware of when they face the firing squad. That's information that's important for the court when considering whether or not to strike the death penalty, because Idaho's means of execution really doesn't exist.
I did hear information from security and from Ada County Transport regarding security measures that would need to be taken. The state did not object to Mr. Kohberger appearing with civilian clothes. The court has employed security measures and is comfortable in terms of the security and flight risk related to Mr. Kohberger with those measures, and therefore has granted the defense motion to allow him to appear in civilian clothes.
For all the pretrial motions, and there's going to be a lot of them, he can appear in suit and tie.
First talk about that suit and tie, Matt's excellent reporting, and really the comment that hey, this is a win for the defense, but the judge said the state didn't object. I think this day and age, pretty much any defendant that requests that, if there are no security concerns, is going to be able to be in regular clothes because they are presumed innocent. Melba, your thoughts?
Yeah, so good afternoon, Judge Ashley. Always great to be on with you. And I think that this was the correct ruling here because, number one, it is going to affect his presumption of innocence. He is presumed innocent at this juncture. The state has not presented all of their evidence. The jury has not deliberated, so he's presumed innocent. And as such, he should appear as someone who is, is innocent, basically. So you put on a suit and tie, and then you're able to at least have that presentation where you feel a little better about yourself, where you're not sitting in a jail jumpsuit in orange or stripes, whatever it may be in that particular jurisdiction, and everyone seeing you in that state and equating that with your guilt before any evidence has actually been presented. I think it's just a common decency thing, and I don't have an issue with it. If I was the prosecutor, I would agree with it as well.
And the judge right now taking all of this under advisement, but kind of signaling to what his judgment might be, saying that Kohberger, if he's convicted, the execution date would be decades away from now, possibly, and we don't even know what means of execution would be available in the state of Idaho, Judge Ashley, at that particular time, if and when his execution date is scheduled.
I mean, really good legal arguments. I don't envy the
Ann
judge.
Taylor is very good.
Yes, and
fighting
the judge
for her client.